Hey YouTube! So the last few weeks, while I haven't been in school and I haven't been working, I have been spending a lot of time, big surprise, on YouTube. And I've been watching so many videos, I've been discovering new people and subscribing to new people, and it's been awesome. While I've been discovering all these new people, I've been looking for ideas for videos that I can make. And of course I'm not gonna steal other people's ideas or try to do what they're trying to do. I mean, they do what they do, I do what I do, and that's fine. One idea I did come up with, though, is this like through the years series. I've seen a few people do it, where you start off with like from when you were born until before you started kindergarten, and you just kind of talk about like everything that you remember from those years, and then you do like kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, all the way up to, I guess, grade 12 or where you are now. I don't really know. But I've seen people doing these and it seems really interesting, and you know, it's a cool series that I could start every once in a while, just make it through the years video. So I'm gonna start today with the first one, which was from when I was born to before kindergarten. So I was born in January 1990, and I actually don't have that many memories from like before kindergarten. I remember traveling a lot. Like we traveled a lot when I was little because my mom worked from home. Like she wasn't a stay-at-home mom, she had a job, but she, like, her office was at home, she was self-employed, so she kind of like made her own hours. So she wanted to take time off for work, like she could do that. And my dad used to work for the government, so he got like really good vacation time. So we used to travel a lot when I was little, like a lot to the States. We didn't really travel in Canada, not really. We traveled a lot down to the States, like the East Coast. I don't really remember everywhere we've been. We've been all over the place though. And we went to Europe a few times. I know we went to Portugal twice in 93 and 95, and I think we went to like the Canary Islands or something. We went one year. It was either when I was 2 or just before I turned 2. I obviously don't remember. We went to somewhere in Europe and we left on like Christmas Day or Boxing Day. I think we went to the Canary Islands, but I'm totally making that up. We've definitely been to the Canary Islands though, and it was when I was little. I'm pretty sure that's when we went. Or we went to Spain. I don't remember. I know we traveled a lot when I was little though. And I have lots of memories of my cottage. We used to have a cottage. We don't anymore, but we used to. And we'd spend like every summer there, like the whole summer. Cause like I said, my mom was self-employed, so she made her own hours. So she would just like spend the whole summer at the cottage with me. And then my dad would come like on weekends or like when he had a couple weeks off during the summer. I don't really remember. So yeah, we'd spend like our whole summer at the cottage, and then I don't know how old I was when we started going to the cottage like every weekend. Our cottage was always winterized, so we could go there year round. Like we never had to like close it during the winter. And I know we used to go every weekend to the cottage, like every weekend, like pretty much, unless we had like a wedding or something really big like that, like a really big reason to not go. We always went to the cottage. I don't know how old I was when that started. I remember always going to the cottage every weekend, but yeah, I don't know how old I was when that started. And I remember the preschool that I was in. My mom wanted me to learn French, but she didn't want me to just like, put me in French immersion in like kindergarten or grade 1 and me be like surrounded by French and being like, I hate this, because then it would just have to change schools and it would suck. So she put me in this like preschool that was for like French first language kids, like kids whose parents spoke French to them, and like their parents wanted them to be in like, continue to be in like a French environment. So my mom puts me in this like totally French preschool. Like the people who work there don't speak English. Like they speak English, but they don't speak English to us. They speak French to us because we're all supposed to be French. All these kids are speaking French, and I feel like a lot of them spoke English as well, because I don't remember being that confused. And I feel like I picked up the French really quickly. There must have been kids or someone who would translate for me, because I remember picking up the French really quickly. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the kids spoke English as well, just because like we live in Ontario. Like it's not really a predominantly French area, so you kind of have to speak English, but they all spoke French as well, and it was really intimidating. I remember going to the Toronto Zoo a lot, and I found out later that my grandparents had like a season's pass to the Toronto Zoo, and my grandparents lived in the same town that I lived, so my grandparents would take me to the zoo like all the time. So I remember going to the Toronto Zoo a lot. And then I went in grade 1 with my class, and I didn't go again until like 2 years ago. I think it's because then my grandpa got really sick, he had Alzheimer's, and then my grandparents stopped buying their season's pass, so I stopped going with them. And then I just never went again. Oh, we had a dog. Okay, we had a dog. Her name was Jessie, and my mom had her way before I was born. I think before even my parents got married. I don't know exactly when my mom got Jessie. I think she was like 12. She was either 12 when she died or 12 when I was born. I don't remember. But like, I know my mom had her pretty sure before my parents even got married. And she was, what was she, a German Shepherd? And she's just like the most beautiful dog girl. Apparently when I was a baby, she would just like, she did not like me because she was like, well, who is this thing and why does it cry? But she was just like the most beautiful. And I remember like when my mom would like, when we would go for walks and like she'd push me in the stroller or whatever, and Jessie never had to be on a leash. Like, she was so good. She would never like run away. She would never run after like other dogs or cats or squirrels or anything. She was really good. Like, we'd be walking down like downtown of my town and like she didn't need to be on a leash. She was such a good dog. And then this is actually like a really terrible story, but I remember this day so vividly. It was the summer that I was 3, summer of '93. So I was like 3.5, and I feel like my mom had gotten a job where she had to go like into the city a lot or something, or she had to do meetings. Anyway, I remember I was at my grandparents' house and my mom had dropped me and Jessie off at my grandparents' house for the day, and I think this was like a recurring event, but this specific day, dropped me and Jessie off for the day, and I was just hanging out with like my grandparents, just, you know, being precious. And Jessie used to like to lie under my grandparents' car if we were like outside, because there was shade and it was kind of cooler like during the summer. And we all knew that she would lie under there. So, well, at least I knew. I assume my grandparents would know. So whenever they had to like, if they had to move the car, they would always make sure they got her out from under it first. And I don't know if my grandma thought Jessie was inside the house with me and my grandpa, or if she just forgot to check. Anyway, my grandma was going in the car. She was either moving the car or going to go somewhere, and I guess didn't check to see if Jessie was under the car. And I knew that Jessie was under the car. And I was like, as my grandma was like starting the car, I was like, no! And I run up. My grandparents had like, their living room was right at the front of the house and had huge windows, and you could like see the driveway. And I remember like running up to the window and like banging on the window. My grandpa was with me, and we were like, Grandma, no, Jessie's under there. Anyway, Jessie ended up dying, and like, no one blamed my grandma or anything. But it was really, I remember when my mom came to pick me up and like, we had to tell her, oh, I don't think I've ever seen my mom cry that hard. It was so sad. And then we like didn't have a dog, and my mom was just kind of like, now what do I do? Like, she was so used to having to like juggle like a 3-year-old and a dog. She was like, now what do I do? And then I guess my dad decided that was like, okay, we need to get another dog. And I don't know if my mom knew that we were looking at other dogs, and everyone just told me that it was like a surprise to my mom, or if my mom actually didn't know. I thought it was a surprise though. Me and my dad would go to the Humane Society, because we were like, if we're gonna get a dog, we're gonna adopt a dog. We're not gonna like pay money for one. We're gonna save a dog, adopt a dog. So I remember going over to the Humane Society, and there were these 2 border collie puppies. Like they were puppies. She was 8 weeks old when we got her, and she was at the Humane Society for a while before we got her. So like, puppies, and they were so cute. And I remember going to look at them and being like, that's the one we want. And there was something wrong with her. She had to have surgery. I don't remember what the surgery was, but she had to have surgery. So we couldn't pick her up right away, but we were like, that's the one we want. And anyway, it was like a surprise for my mom, and she was a little border collie. We named her Oreo. And my dad says I picked out the name because she looked like an Oreo cookie. My mom says that she picked out the name, and my dad doesn't have a very good memory, but I think it's really cute to think that 3-year-old me picked out the name Oreo for our dog. So I'm gonna go with that story, that I picked out the name, but I don't know if that's true. So then we bring home this puppy. She's like 8 weeks old, this little puppy, and she is so cute. Anyway, and then I guess the people at the Humane Society, like after Jessie died, my mom was like, I'm either having 2 dogs or no dogs, because she didn't like the transition of like having a dog and then not having a dog. So it's like, if you have 2 dogs, if something happens to one of them, you still have the routine of taking care of a dog, so it's not like everything's terrible. So I guess the people at the Humane Society knew that we were kind of looking, we were interested in getting another dog. We weren't actively pursuing that. So this like family, I guess, called in with this dog and they were like, that they wanted to give to the Humane Society. And the Humane Society was like, we don't have any room, like we're full, but we know of this family that's looking for a dog. So the Humane Society gives this other family our number and they call us. Anyway, they've got this dog. She's a duck trolling retriever and she's like 15 months, so a little over a year. And she's lived with this family and they've got 4 kids, all under the age of like 10, and they all have asthma. So like this dog is the biggest problem ever. And the kids are at school all day, the parents are working, so this dog is like locked up in a cage in the house for like 18 hours a day. Like doesn't really it's just not a good environment. The parents are like, it's not fair for us to do this to this dog, so we don't want it. So like it's not, like the dog needs a better home. We're not giving it a good home. You know what I mean? So they call the Humane Society, the Humane Society calls us, and I guess my parents are like, okay, we're gonna go see this dog. And my mom tells me now that like she kind of knew, like who goes to a house to look at a dog and then be like, no thank you. Like she kind of knew we were gonna get the dog. So we go to this house and the dog just like, I don't have a lot of memories of actually, I remember going to the house, but I don't really have any memories there, but apparently the dog just like loved my mom. And my parents were like petting her, whatever. They're like, okay, we're gonna take her for a walk. And because she spent so many hours a day like locked up in this cage, like in a crate, I guess, not a cage, like a crate in the house, and she didn't really get, like she got walked, but not nearly enough. So my parents decided to take her for a walk, and my mom says that the dog was running so hard she practically pulled my mom's arm out of the socket. So anyway, of course, we ended up coming home with the dog, and we named her Sundance. I did not pick out that name. I don't remember why that was her name. I don't know the story of why we named her Sundance. She was really gorgeous, like gold color though. She was a beauty. She was the kind of dog, every time I looked at her, I was like, if you were a person, you would be a queen. She was awesome. So yeah, within 6 weeks, we went from having a 3-year-old to having a 3-year-old and 2 puppies. That was and it was right before Christmas too that we got them. I think we got Oreo like, hey wait, Oreo was born October 1st, so we would have got her like, I guess we picked her out like beginning of November and got to take her home sometime in November. We got Sundance like in December. And 3-year-old me. And I think that's it. Those are all the memories I have from before I started kindergarten. I traveled a lot. We got our dogs. I went to a French preschool where I didn't speak French. And I had a cottage. That's all I really remember. Yeah, so that's my first Through the Years video. And I'll be back before you know it with part 2 of Through the Years, which is kindergarten. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.